I've had many leading experts on this show, including Matthew Walker, and they've all said the same thing about sleep. They've said it's the biggest positive investment you can make in your own performance. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if you're consistently tired, poor decision-making will follow and eventually cause other things to fail in your life. So if you're looking to optimize your recovery, you should start looking at what you're sleeping on. Our sponsor, Helix, makes high-quality mattresses tailored to your body. It doesn't matter if you run hot, sleep on your side, or need something firm. Helix has a mattress for you. And I asked them recently to send one to a member of my team, and Juan received it. And we travel a lot, so when he's home, quality sleep really matters. And he told me he's getting the best sleep of his life. And the data backs it up, with 82% of people in a Helix study saying they saw an increase in their deep sleep. And with a 120-night trial, you've got 4 months to prove it to yourself. You can get 27% off at helixsleep.com/diary. That's helixsleep.com/diary. If you're running a business, people have probably told you to use AI or get left behind. And I get that urgency. Still, AI doesn't fix a messy business. It exposes one, because AI can only work with the information it can see. So if you ask AI something about your business, about stock or sales or customers or about your team, that information needs to be connected to the AI to be useful. That's the idea behind NetSuite by Oracle, the sponsor of this episode. NetSuite is the AI-powered business management suite that securely connects your financials, your inventory, your commerce, your HR, and your CRM into a single source of truth. And with NetSuite Next, AI is built into that connected system. It can surface useful insights, help with routine work, and let you ask questions about your business in plain English. For the first time ever, you can try NetSuite Next for free if your business is generating 7 figures or more. Just go to netsuite.ai/Bartlett. That's netsuite.ai/Bartlett. Julian Hearn, the founder of Huel. Huel is a company that's very close to my heart, and anybody that knows me knows how much Huel I consume. If you don't know Huel, and you've been living under a rock, Huel is essentially a meal in a bottle. And because I live a very busy life, shall I say, I don't have much free time. So I don't spend a lot of time cooking, going to restaurants and things like that. So having a Huel in my bag at all times means that I can get all of my nutritional needs while still focusing and getting the most out of my day. I've been so impressed by Huel, so impressed. And so I was overwhelmed with excitement when I found out that I'd be sitting down with Julian to understand the brand. It's a great, great product, but it's also a great, great business. In fact, it's one of the UK's fastest growing business. And I think this year they're on track to make about 45 million in revenue. And that's in their 4th year. When I look at Huel, I see so many small touches of genius. So I've been so incredibly excited to meet the man behind the brand, to understand how many of those things were intentional or how many of those things were just luck. My suspicions would tell me it was the former. In this conversation, I'm not just interested in the business. I'm not just interested in the revenue, and I'm not just interested in the product. I'm interested in the entrepreneur, his personal life, his personal struggles, his personal issues, his personal relationships. And I think he reveals some things that even caught me by surprise. And I have no doubt that this conversation will catch you by surprise too. Without further ado, this is Stephen Bartlett and this is Diary of a CEO. And today I'm joined by Julian Hearn. I hope nobody's listening, but if you are, then please keep this to yourself. Julian, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. It's an absolute privilege to me because, as I've said to you, and I hope people know that this isn't bullshit, I consume a lot of your product. I think it was built perfectly for somebody like me who's time poor, wants something that tastes good, and wants to also maintain their health while they're traveling and busy and thinking about a lot of other things. So I guess the first thing I have to say is thank you for creating Huel. And secondly, can you give me a little bit of a brief intro as to how Huel came about, but also how you came about as the entrepreneur you are today?
How I came about as an entrepreneur, I think it was really a needs-must situation that I was 37 and working in London, 3 hours of commute each way. leaving the house at sort of 6:30 in the morning, getting home at 6:30 at night. It was a long old day, and me and my wife were trying to have a baby, and we'd had a few miscarriages. And so I wanted to be working from home. So Aylesbury is not the hotbed of great places to work. So I was head of marketing for a company in London. There was no alternative. And luckily I bumped into some guys doing some affiliate marketing. Right. They were earning some mega money and working from home in their PJs. And I was thinking, hold on a minute, this seems pretty clever. They were like me, they're normal guys. I don't think I'm particularly outstanding at anything in particular. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, wow, if they can do this, why can't I do this? So I just spent the next year practicing learning in my bedroom of how to do this sort of stuff. And then after about a year of earning a little bit of money on the side, mm-hmm. I thought I could do this. Said to my wife, right, give me 6 months. We've got enough money in the bank. I'm going to start. So started a company. 3 months later, I was earning more money than I was as a full-time job. And then 3 years later, I sold that business.
And that was an affiliate marketing business?
Correct, yeah.
So was that your first sort of foray into being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, apart from my mum found a photo of me when I was 8 selling her plants on a stall out the front of the garden.
Really?
So when I was 8, I did. And then the gap was nearly 30 plus years mm-hmm. until I did anything real. But yeah, I probably would still be in that corporate job if that hadn't have happened, because when I was earning decent money, I suppose, as a corporate person, but I never really thought, because I didn't have any, I don't know, role models or anybody else that I knew that had run their own business and been successful. Mm-hmm. So I just went the sort of corporate route after leaving university. So I must have had a little bit of a entrepreneurial bug, but it wasn't obvious until that point.
Were you studious? Were you good in school when you were younger?
I left school at 16 with pretty poor GCSEs, to be honest.
How poor?
Pretty poor in the sense of I got 2 E's at English.
Right, okay.
Can't spell, like I think we had a little chat earlier.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at spelling.
Same.
I think I got a couple of C's and maybe 1 B, something like that. Pretty poor GCSEs. And so I left school at 16. So no, at the school I went to, there was, I don't think the teachers wanted to be there and the kids certainly didn't want to be there. So there was not a lot of ambition. I didn't know anybody who went to university, didn't know anybody who did A-levels. So I just left and got a job like everybody else. And it was only 3 years later, one of my girlfriends said, what are you doing? I was digging holes in the road for 2 years. That's what I was doing. I was working, digging holes. And she said, what are you doing? You're too bright to do this. So at that point, that's when I went back to college.
And then, so you start this affiliate marketing business, you sell it.
Yeah.
How old are you when you sold it?
40 years old.
40. And so how quickly after selling that business did Huel begin?
Probably nearly 2 years later.
2 years later. And tell me about how that came about.
So I took a bit of time off. Luckily, we did have a child. And, so I had no reason to work. I had enough money to survive on and to live on. So mm-hmm. I had no reason to work. So I took a good year out, if not longer. But then you get itchy feet. You can't sit at home. I think you've got to have a work-life balance. Works both ways. Like people usually work too much. They need to have more free time. But when you've got 100% free time, mm-hmm. you need a little bit of work in there. So I wanted to find something that I was going to be passionate about, I was going to be proud of, something that keep me busy 3 days a week. Because the first company I built and sold, I wasn't really proud of it. You wouldn't want to go down a pub and talk about it with your mates. It was something that generated cash, but it wasn't something you would be proud of to wear the t-shirt sort of thing.
Sure.
So I wanted something I was going to be into, proud of, something that was going to be beneficial to the world. So I started another company called Body Hack, and Huel span out of that.
And so why did Julian make Huel? Why Huel? You could have made any business. You could have done marketing. You could have done anything. Why Huel?
Because the thing that interested me, when I sort of sat down and thought, what am I actually interested in? I was always interested in sort of health and fitness stuff, sort of well-being. And so the Body Hack company was it was trying to get rid of all the sort of dubious websites out there that are giving fake information. What I was going to try and do is run every single people, all different meal plans, all different exercise programs to see which ones work. Take photographs every week. After 3 months, you would see which ones actually generated a result. And so I did that for 3 months. And I was went down from 21% body fat down to 11% body fat. I was 41 years old. So it's the leanest I'd ever been. And that was because I was weighing all of my food from scratch. So it was crystal clear that what you eat is super important. It's more important than going to the gym, really. So I was doing 3 hours of exercise, but I'd done that for 10 years previous and I hadn't got the same results. So it's the food you eat is super important. And so my friend said, how did you do that? And I told them, and they said, how the fuck am I going to eat an egg at 11 o'clock with broccoli and cook an egg, and then at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, going to cook 200 grams of turkey and quinoa and baby spinach, and they said it's not practical. You're living in cloud cuckoo land. So it made me think, right, so people want to eat healthy food, but they need it convenient. And typically it doesn't work that way. Usually healthy food is time consuming to prep, and then convenience food is just junk food. It's not good for you. So where's the healthy convenience food out there? So I was using protein shakes. Protein shakes super convenient, but you can't live off protein alone, so they're no good either. So it made me think, right, why don't we put all the stuff into one single product? So I found James Collier, who's our co-founder. James Collier put a formula together, which is pretty much what it is today, and then made us think, well, there's all the other benefits of it, because when it's powder, it's got a 12-month shelf life, so it's better for the world in the sense of there's no food waste. 30% of food is all thrown away because it gets bruised or its shelf life expires. Well, you can't bruise powder, so that's really good. You can put all these meals into a single bag, so it's super convenient. It's got all the nutrients in a single product. And then we can make it vegan as well, because if you can't see it, it doesn't really matter whether it's a meat product or whether it's a vegetable product. You've just blended all these products down. So it just ticked so many boxes. It's time to think, shit, this is like better for the world. It's better for the person using it. It's more cost effective than most foods that people consuming today. It's more convenient. Win, 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 win. So it made us think, right, that's got some legs to it. And then the next job was to come up with a brand, come up with a name, get the product made, get it to market.
Of all of that process you've just described, what part of it were you uniquely good at? And I can ask this question in another way. When I meet entrepreneurs, I always think there's like one defining thing that made them succeed versus probably everybody else who would have had that same thought and would have even maybe had the same idea, but within the execution, there's something within the founder or CEO, whether it's, Bennett, Gymshark, or other CEOs that I've spoken to, that is kind of unique to them and their experience, and often unique to how they see the world.
Possibly, I'm not sure exactly whether it's one particular thing. I think I've got a good design aesthetic. I think I'm not a great designer. I can't design, but I think I know something looks good or doesn't look good. So I think that was been beneficial. I think the fact that I'd already made my money meant that I could make something that in lots of cases we overspec'd it. We spent more time or spent more effort or money on something, whereas I could have done a lot cheaper version. I think sometimes that's the problem. These types of products in the past, people have cut corners in a bad way. They've not used the best ingredients. They've not packaged it in the best way. They've not cared as much as what I did, because I only did it. I didn't do it to make money, because I already made my money, so I didn't need that. I did something that I genuinely wanted, and the objective was to do something I was proud of, and the size of the business was irrelevant. Sometimes by chasing after numbers, I think that means that you never get the numbers. Sure. But by not trying, you get there. It's a little bit trying to go up, maybe. Yeah. So if you try too hard, you don't get the results. I think it's the fact that we didn't try too hard. My original objective was 3 days a week work and to have 1,000 people buying it a month. So it's going to be a lifestyle business. That's what the objective was, and something that I would use personally, and something that I would be proud of wearing a T-shirt down the pub with my friends, and they may do it. And I was talking to them days. I went down the pub the other day, and all four of us that we went down the pub was all wearing one part of Huel clothing, because they're sort of proud to be associated with the brand as well. So I think that aspect of already have made the money meant that this time I could do it in a different way, and I wasn't always thinking about cutting corners or saving money. It's all about how do I make something that is good, a quality product.
You did it for the right reasons.
Exactly.
Ultimately. There's something about that I've noticed about entrepreneurs where they are willing to do something, even if it's unpaid, for the next 5 years, because it's coming from a genuine place. And those are the entrepreneurs. Same with Bennett Gymshark. Now that I've mentioned him, that over time, especially with a macro perspective, seem to create things that people love, but also they're able to weather the storms that come along with the way, because most people would quit upon getting the first piece of bad news or hitting the first wall, but that passion and that desire to do it for the right reasons, I think it keeps them going. And on that, I guess to that point, jumping ahead a little bit, I think generally there's a perception that entrepreneurship is easy, and someone might listen to that story. They might see the timeline that you've achieved your success on and what you've created there and think, oh, I could do that as well. It's very, very easy. And I think we as entrepreneurs have a responsibility to give them the full picture, because there's not a lot of places, certainly not Instagram, where they're getting the full picture. So Can you talk to me about some of the sacrifices and some of the hardships that went into creating this that people wouldn't know?
Okay, so sacrifices. I didn't pay myself for 3 years. You mentioned that, so I just thought, what's the point of paying myself? It's going to come out of the company pocket. I think probably the first 18 months, I was totally immersed in the company, obsessed. Didn't do anything else really. I did go out, but the hours you put in are ridiculous. So it was 7 days a week for probably the first 18 months, not full blast, but I would say that what was happening was I'd do a full day's work, come home, have some dinner, and then go back on the computer. I used to do all the Facebook answers, used to do some of the customer service, but I would do some of that every evening and weekends for probably a good 18 months, and didn't pay myself at the same time. Probably made myself ill as well. Like you just you sometimes burn the candle at both ends a little bit too much, and you just try and get through these times. Me and my wife split up, so and that partly was down to that. It's not as easy as you think. But at the same time, I think sometimes people think it's too hard and don't start, and I just think you should. I think people should have a go at it. I don't think that I'm wildly different from the next person, and so I think that a lot of people think it's too hard and they shouldn't do it. And I think some people should have a crack at it earlier than what they do. Looking back, I do think that I waited too long. I was 37 when I first started. And you're, I don't know when you started, but you're super young, right? So you've done it. So you didn't, you said earlier about I don't know about your education, but you didn't come from money. You didn't come from a super high level of education, same as me. And we've both managed to make things successful. So it's just grit and determination.
The cost you spoke about there, though. I've experienced that myself. I've really never had a girlfriend. I tried for a year and that went to shit because again, irrespective of how many hours I spend in the office, I spend all of my time in my head, if you know what I mean, thinking about things. And that can, I think, make people that try and be in a relationship with me feel very lonely, even if they're sat next to me. And I've never been particularly good at compromise. I've been very, very selfish over the years. And so what you speak about there with your partner, with your ex-wife, is that something that, what advice would you give to 18-year-old Steve, who's someone like you that's thinking of starting their business, about the impacts that it can have on romantic relationships?
I think that there's probably no way around it. That if you've got it in you that you want to do something, then sometimes things do have to change. And if you deny yourself starting something or doing something because you really want to, then it still might have that knock-on effect anyway, because you won't be happy with yourself, I don't think. If you're driven in a certain way, you just can't help it, I don't think. So the good news is that it doesn't last forever. So while you're in a obsessed stage, getting something going, because it has to, it's a flywheel, it's a snowball, it has to get going, that eventually, so I'm back down to say maybe 4 days a week now, and I'm able to do sort of podcasts rather than normally this would have been, no, I can't do this. I've got work to do. Whereas I can now do these extra things that are still useful for the business, but at the time, it's life or death in the early days of a business. If something's not done today, the business could fail tomorrow. So in the early days, you do have to commit. You do have to say, suck it up and go. It could be 18 months. It could be 2 years. It could be 3 years. But there has to be a time in your life when I think you just grit your teeth, get it done, and then you can look back.
And how do you know? Because there'll be a lot of people that will start businesses and they'll get 2 years in and nothing's working. And they've sacrificed their relationships. They've sacrificed their time. They probably have made themselves ill to some extent. How do you know when to quit, to throw in the towel, or to carry on going? I guess this is a tough question.
I don't think there's any right answer, but I've had 3 main businesses, and those 3, 2 of them went almost straight away. That as soon as we launched, there was instant results. The other one, it was lukewarm. And I think that might be the signal that if you're, say, 2 years in and it's still lukewarm, that ain't ever going to come good, I don't think. Obviously, there are exceptions to that where people have chugged along very slowly for a number of years and then suddenly it's exploded. I think there's so many opportunities now. There's so many different ways to get the ball rolling. You should be able to get a minimal viable product out the door pretty quick. And then you should see if there's no demand, you shouldn't have to chase the demand. I mean, in the early days, we couldn't keep up with the demand. It struggled to keep up. And I think my first business, it just took off straight away. Like I said, within 3 months, I was earning more money than my objective was. So both of those took off within the first few months. You knew pretty quick. There is a long run up to get sometimes the launch stage. But I think if you can think of ways you can try and get some early adoption, then that should give you enough feedback or enough inspiration to keep going. But if that is hard graft, people are not that interested, maybe it's not the right idea, it's not the right thing.
So going back to the question I asked a second ago as well, what's in the last couple of years, is there a particular day or moment that you would consider to be your hardest?
There's probably a couple. I think every day is pretty hard, right? I don't get me wrong, like every day there's problems. We just been talking about some problems in the building today. So every day can be pretty hard. There are some real crunch ones. So, even pre-launch, we had a company that strung us along for a number of months that had promised to make the product and strung us along. Or when I say us, it's basically me, and then let me down. And that was probably a year in pre-launch. That took me a year to get to that stage. So at that point, I sort of said I'm done. But the following day, got out of bed and went, why should I give up just because of that one person let me down? There must be other people out there that can do it. So why not just keep going? So that was one. And then another one was just sometimes you get a lot of criticism on social media, which I'm sure you're probably aware of. And it's stupidly unjustified. Yeah, but it does get to you. And you just think, what are you even, we're an ethical company. We're trying our best to do the right thing. So when people criticize you, when you think there's all these other dodgy companies out there that are doing bad stuff, why are you picking on us? Why are you having to go at us? And that can be soul destroying. How have you learnt how to deal with that? Ignore it. I think in the early days, I used to really go backwards and forwards with people trying to change their mind. And
never works.
I've read somewhere. I have done it a couple of times. I have managed to persuade a few, but I did read somewhere. They said, like, give your answer back to somebody, and that's it. That's it. No more. You just give one answer back. So you give your side of the story. They come with you with criticism. You tell your side back. And one thing quite often I use to kill critics too much is there's a quote from Ratatouille, believe it or not, the Anton Egon quote. If you cut that and paste that, and send that back to somebody, which basically says, critics are worthless, they add nothing to the society. That's basically what the quote says. I don't think anybody's ever come back after that and actually come back and had an argument back. I'll send you the quote, you can use it.
I'm the same, obviously. I think all business owners are the same. If you really care about your business and you know that the things being said about your business and your life's work are fundamentally incorrect, not even someone else's opinion, fundamentally that didn't happen or that doesn't happen, it can be one of the most triggering things, even for me today. It really winds me up, can ruin your day, right? Especially if then a bunch of other people jump on and believe that fundamentally incorrect thing, and then it becomes part of your brand. I've struggled with that over the years with social media, and I've arrived at the decision that I will in some cases reply empathetically. But if I don't feel like I can reply empathetically, I won't reply at all.
Yeah, I think that's the best approach.
So, can you tell me something that you've learned from building Huel and being an entrepreneur that you think most aspiring entrepreneurs have absolutely no idea about, or that is not told?
I mean, there's so much basic stuff behind the scenes, like coming up with a brand, coming up with an idea. You read so much advice on how to do those types of things, how to do performance marketing. There's so much advice on that. But there's just the basic stuff behind the scene, just doing purchase orders, just doing the real simple stuff, how to find an office, how to recruit staff, all the real basic stuff you don't really hear about because it's not the sexy side of it. And I think those sorts of things, you have to make it up as you go. But I think that was one thing that was surprising to me because my first business was easy in comparison, that there was no product, there was no customer service, there was no fulfillment, none of those types of things. Whereas with Huel, a physical product, is hard, much harder than doing online stuff.
Sure.
So my background was digital marketing, and so creating the website, creating the name, it was all difficult, but it was much easier than actually getting a physical product, and then actually getting that product to market, then getting the fulfillment, picking the cardboard boxes, learning how to tape a cardboard box up, all these really sort of basic stuff you're just not even aware of. So there's absolutely thousands of things like that you just are not aware of until you start. And there's no one to even tell you how to do it because it's not the sexy stuff. So nobody's really telling you how to do it.
One of the questions that I think is most popular when I look at my inboxes from young entrepreneurs is a very sort of ambiguous question, but it's just, where do I start? Right? Because there's typically so many things that one could be doing that I think entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs are sometimes forced into they almost paralyze themselves because they look at all that, I've got to do this. Yeah. So what would your advice be to an entrepreneur that's listening that thinks, I want to start a business, but I'm just overwhelmed by the amount of things that I think I need to do?
I would, in terms of the idea, I would always try and look for something. I think Huel was a product that I wanted. It was an issue that I had. I wanted convenience, healthy food, right? So that's what my friends wanted. So I had the perfect audience, because if you are your own customer, then you will use your own product, and if it pisses you off, then you can fix it. Whereas if I'm trying to make, I don't know, a product for some different type of person, I'm trying to guess all the time what they actually want. Whereas if I make it for myself and my immediate friends, then I've got the perfect feedback loop. I just keep using it every day, and then that bit bugs me, then I'll fix that. Then this bit bugs me, then I'll fix that. So I think fixing a problem you personally got or people very close to you have got means that you will be able to get to the best product very, very quickly.
And obviously, when you have the success like you've had with your previous business in marketing, and then obviously Huel, a lot of things can change in your life personally.
Yep.
And one of those things is obviously money,
yep,
which is a clear upside of building a business and being successful and selling it, as we would know. What impact has money and having money had on your life, going from where you were digging, holes in the road to now?
In some ways, it sounds a bit strange, but maybe not that much. I still live on the same estate. I live in a bigger house, but it's the same estate. I still go to my same local pub with the same friends. I still live in the same town. I drive a nicer car.
What car? I always ask.
It's a 7 Series BMW, so it's a nicer car than I had before. I go on nicer holidays. When we first sold my first business, we bought a house on the coast, which was very nice, but we didn't use it enough, so we sold it and we've got a lot of money in the bank, so I can do whatever I like whenever I like. I don't buy expensive. I've got a plastic digital watch on here, so I don't really go and buy the crazy expensive stuff because, as long as you're financially secure, I think spending, I suppose I've been brought up a bit tight, you don't spend wildly. So I think in terms of,
But in terms of happiness and
I think,
has it made you happier?
Yeah, I suppose it has. You don't have to worry about money. I don't spend recklessly, but I do take, lads on holiday. I'm going, like 10 of us going to Spain later on this year. So I'm paying for the hotels. I've taken people to Vegas to watch UFC fights. So I've tried and do all around experiences rather than buying gold watches or something like that. So those times are really good, so you remember those days. So I suppose it makes you happy because of those. But on a day-to-day, fundamentally day-to-day basis, if Huel was 10 times smaller than what it is today, I'd be just as happy.
So a young person that's listening to this, that is wondering if money, because it's one of the lessons that I learned. I thought for some bizarre reason that money would scale my happiness to some extent, but I was content and happy at the time. Yep. But I just presumed, probably because lots of the unhappiness in my life growing up was my mum and dad screaming at each other because they can, afford things. I presumed it would scale my happiness, but upon making a decent amount of money, I realized that adding more money to that would have very little effect. But what I really liked about your answer is that realization that the happiness will come from experiences with like meaningful relationships and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Versus cars and watches and stuff.
Yeah, I think you if it's a new experience, it's a new experience. Whereas with cars, I think somebody said it quite wisely that once you bought one, you get used to anything. So that's the new norm for you. So then you have to where do you go? Then you go to more expensive car, and more expensive car. What do you do? At some point, never ended. So I think that by doing new novel things, like going to new places, like we went to the Grand National this year, took some lads up there, and we stayed, went nice places, and it was good. So those sorts of things I think are the best thing that has come out of this. We gave some of our friends and family some money as well, which helped them out. But I think in general, the gold watches are not the thing that do it for me.
One of the big things in our sort of society at the moment is the topic of mental health.
Yeah,
and founders and entrepreneurs go through very sort of high pressure, high pressure journeys in order to try and achieve this objective. I've got so many questions here. How do you protect your own mental health? And what have you learnt over the last couple of years about keeping your sort of mental well-being in check?
I think that because of keeping my friends close, I think those are useful. I think sometimes people might drop their friends, move out. Because like we talked about spending money on a big house, but basically a big house has got to be out in the countryside, which basically you're removing yourself from your social circle. It seems a little bit strange in some ways that actually you become more detached. So I've deliberately not done that. That's why I still live on the same estate with the same friends. So I think that's a good thing. Don't just, forget where you came from and just move on to bigger and better things. So, we were talking earlier about Ash, like you're still friends with this guy that you first started off with. So I think it's good to have long-term friends. I think that's a fundamental. And I think in terms of the last few years, if you go too mad in terms of hours, it's gonna catch up with you eventually. So you will get yourself burned out if you're not careful. I'm a lot older than you, so I'm probably going to get burned out easier. You could probably go harder than what I can for longer, but you do need to take into account that when you see it coming, you got to try and take the foot off the accelerator a little bit. But ultimately, somebody asked me a question at a place the other day. There is no way around it. You're going to have to put the graft in. You have to put the hours in. It's going to have to be for a sustained period of time to make these things work. But try and keep an eye on yourself, because if you start, I don't know, I probably started going out too much, like in the evenings, trying to make up for, because you think it's like a reward mechanism, I suppose. You think, I've put all these hours in, what am I getting back out of it? I'm not just going to sit at home. So I probably burnt the candle at both ends, went out a bit too much, and midweek, weekends, and you just think, yeah, you can do it, you're indestructible, you keep going, but eventually it will catch up with you if you're not careful.
Did it catch up with you?
Yeah.
And what were the symptoms of that? I'm asking for myself here because do you know what you said there is very accurate. I at one stage thought I was indestructible.
Right.
When I was like 18, 19, I thought I don't need sleep. I don't need to speak to a human being. I can just hammer it away. And then, I'd look at other people and think like, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And then people would say to me all the time, you're going to burn yourself out. And I never believed it.
I never believed it either until I started to get super tired, right? So I just thought, oh my God, like there was, I'll tell you what the signal was when I stopped going to work. There was a couple of times where I'd get up in the morning, get on the sofa and didn't go in. And that was not me. So yeah, and then stop going to the gym and stuff like that. And just like going to the gym, I used to look forward to it because it gives you a bit of a lift, a bit of a buzz. And then I go to the gym and I dread going because I know I'm going to be even more tired when I come out of it. And it wouldn't do that. And so I think I went and saw a doctor. A doctor said chronic fatigue syndrome. And then the obviously the problem with that is it's not clearly defined as being an actual thing. So there's no clearly defined sort of medication. But she's basically said you need to change your sleep patterns and stuff like that and sort yourself out. Take some time off. I said, I can't take too much time off, with stuff to do. So it was just a case of, and this was probably 18 months, 2 years ago. So I think I'm sort of back to normal now, but it does take a long time. And some of those days were like, yeah, you're just fucked in terms of, your ability to get stuff done. So luckily the team's a lot bigger now. So we've brought people in, I gave up the CEO role. And so all those things have contributed to put me back on an even keel.
Chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yeah.
What did he What did he say, the doctor say about that? Sounds like something that I need to do my very best to avoid.
Yes, indeed. I think that some people, I don't think it's even a clear, I think it's one of these really quite a woolly ones. People say it's not even a thing. But for me, it was like very clear that I was not the same as what I was previously. And so, yeah, I think it probably was burning the candle at both ends. And, like I'd do a day's work, go out in the evening, get up in the morning, go to the gym, do a hard session, go to work, do it again. And like that was a bit too extreme because of this sort of feeling like I could do anything. And eventually that does catch up with you. But I think it's just, you just try and, in the early days of a startup, it's a sprint for sure. You could die the following day, basically. If you don't do certain work, the company could fail. So you are scared of failure in terms of this baby you've created. It needs nurturing. You've got to try and nurture that baby as best as you can. And if you don't feed that baby that second, it could die. So you keep feeding, and then eventually the baby becomes a toddler and it's more self-sufficient. And I think that at that stage, you can take the foot off the accelerator, and that you need to try and get to that point and notice that point, and then do take your foot off the accelerator. Because if you try and keep going full pace, it turns from a sprint to a marathon. So we're in that sort of marathon stage now. We sort of can see the future of being, I've got this, it's not another year's time, it's another 3 or 4 years' time. And if you're at full pace for another 3 or 4 years, you're really going to struggle.
And I guess it's about trying to make your life a little bit more balanced and sustainable, which is what I'm thinking a lot about at the moment.
Yes. Someone
asked me the other day, they said, what's your goal for the next couple of years? And I said, to try and achieve more balance and sustainability within my life, because I've heard from enough people like yourself who are much more experienced than I am, that if I don't, then it will actually be detrimental to my business in the long term.
Yep.
Versus me thinking that I can just sacrifice everything,
Yep.
And I've not been very good either at maintaining personal relationships, but also romantic relationships, as I said. And I have this inclination that I'll probably get old and be lonely if I don't do something about that quite quickly.
You've got lots of time ahead of you, but I think there is a strong argument to you've got a successful business now. It seems pretty solid to me. You've got some good people. You've got 2 big teams. You've got New York and Manchester. So yeah, you probably could take a little bit more time to get that balance right. And if you think about, we went to Fast Track the other day, and Richard Branson came up on the screen and did a little talk, and I think he's 68 years old now, but he's still got his fingers in lots of pies, and he could be burning himself out. But I think he lives on Necker Island, so he gets up in the morning, goes kite surfing, but he's still involved in his businesses. But one of the other guys there, I can't remember what he was, the MD of Virgin or something like that, he said that one of the good things about Richard is he doesn't get involved in the detail. So when he comes into a meeting and doesn't know the details, you can take that overview of the whole business, and you can see stuff that the other people that are in the day-to-day they can't see. So he's more visionary. He can see the high level, but that works for him because then he doesn't need to know the detail. So it's sort of, maybe that's what you could be good at, or what I should do more of, is just don't do the job, but be the sort of visionary or the overview of the whole thing. And that allows you to put less hours in because you've got a whole team to execute for you, but you still steer the ship. So you see the overview, and that means that you could spend less time doing the nitty gritty.
I completely agree. And I saw that you had relinquished the title of CEO of the company.
Yep.
And I think that the reasons for you doing that were 100% admirable and showed a tremendous amount of self-awareness. But so many people, probably myself included, have an ego, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's just be honest. And there's something that comes with the title of CEO that I think a lot of people would be attached to. Now, you, and I've mentioned him a few times now, but Ben at Gymshark have both made that decision. And I really wanted to understand why you made that decision.
Yep.
And to kind of understand if it's the best decision for me as well. Because
well, I'm not saying anybody can, but there's lots of CEOs. So if you take a big successful company, over the years, they have lots of CEOs. They can only ever have one founder. So you're never going to lose that. So don't worry about the ego side of it, because you're still always going to be the founder of Social Chain, right? So you don't have to worry about that. That's can't change. It's impossible to change. Nobody can come and do that. But the CEO role is hard. It's a lot of hours, and it's very broad. So what I saw was that my skill set is not It's not HR. It's not operations. It's not finance. It's not new product development. It's not people skills. You know, it's those. But that's what CEO needs to be good at, all those little things. And I felt that I was very average at all of those, but I'm very good at brand and marketing. So why am I? It's just a bad use of time for me to get involved in. I mean, some of the discussions the CEO has to get involved in were just very dull in my eyes. It wasn't the stuff that I think could add value to. I don't think I was particularly good at, and I didn't find that interesting. So I decided to bring somebody in who was better at that than me. So James McMasters came in, has done an excellent job. And so that allowed me to do what I thought I was good at, which is the brand and marketing. And the beauty of brand and marketing, it still can have input into all those other areas, because if the operations is not right, the delivery is not on time, or the product's not right, then I say that's affecting the customer, fix it. You know, what's wrong with that? I still have input. It's not like I'm sort of sidelined.
Sure.
And I think Ben took the role of brand something or other.
Creative something,
yeah. So he's still got an overview of what the customer sees. And I think that, the rest of it is the nuts and bolts, but really that's what the customer sees is the key stuff. And so as long as you keep a handle on the overall brand and the way people see the company, how it actually gets executed can be passed over to a big, broad team who can make that happen.
It's probably the case that the majority of founders should probably not be the CEO.
No, I agree.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do agree.
Because you have the vision and you have the understanding from day one, which is no one will ever be able to replicate, no matter how hard they try. They can create something different from the base you've built, but they'll never be able to make Huel, right? Yeah. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're the best with operations and finance. Like I'm not. I'm definitely not. And I've managed to put a lot of people around me that are much better than me at most things. So my next question is, what do you regret?
Not starting sooner.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think looking back, I mean, in some ways I never regret anything, because where I am today, I might have, if I'd started sooner, I might have failed because I didn't have the same amount of experience or wasn't the same level of motivation or whatever it was. And I might have given up. So I might not be here today. I always think that, there's all little changes throughout your life, and they're all possibly for a reason. As you go through, you pick up stuff as you go. And I'm here. I'm in a place where I want to be. So maybe it was exactly the right way to do it. But yeah, if I was looking back, you'd probably say, started sooner. You started way young.
Oh, I feel very old. Random question: Are you scared of dying?
No.
Why?
Because I don't think I'm going to ever die. It's a bit silly. I just don't. It seems so far away. It seems so far away that I don't even think about it. No, I'm definitely not scared. I think I've had a full life. I think I've done most things that I wanted to do. So no.
What are you scared of?
Spiders.
Is that it?
Yeah, I don't like spiders.
You're not scared of the business falling into the ground and all going wrong?
No, like I said, I think even if Huel was the size of this room, and we had 3 staff and had the products we had today, I'd still be happy. Something that I like. I think we've done a good job. I think it looks good. I think it's a good product, does good for the world. So yeah, even if we go back to the 1,000 true fans that I originally chased after and tried to make happy, I think if we still had those, still got the same level of engagement, I'd be happy.
What advice would you give me about that relationship issue I described? And have you managed to find the answers in your own life?
Relationship issues. I'm not sure I'm the right man to give those. I'm not sure. I think there's you just got to do. I think. Don't try and please other people. There's so many people out in the world. Somebody's going to be exactly right for everybody out there. So just decide what you want. And if somebody doesn't fit in with that, then they're not quite right.
No compromise.
No compromise. I don't think so. I think, relationships are hard. Long-term relationships are super hard. Marriages are super hard. You're making a commitment to somebody who may change and you may change, and you've made a commitment. It seems a bit strange way to do it. I've never made a commitment to my friends, and we're friends 30 years later. They know that if they're a dick, I'm not going to be friends with them. And if I'm a dick, they won't be friends with me. So it's an unwritten rule. Just be nice to each other. And we're still friends 30 years later. So there's no pressure that way. And those relationships are the most longest standing relationships I've got. So something in friendship there's an extra pressure in relationships, which are not the same.
Do you think that's something to do with the ring and the signing the contract?
Possibly, yeah, exactly. So I think relationships are put extra pressure on each other, that sometimes you need space. You need, like, friends don't live with me. They're not on my case all the time. And I think there's something there that's, friendships, guy friendships that I've got, they're the best relationships I've got. There's got to be something there. There's the important stuff you're talking about, friends you've got. And, the romantic ones are sometimes extra complicated for arguably no reason. Why not just be nice to each other and we'll still be, romantically involved years later?
Who needs marriage?
Yeah, who needs marriage? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think I'd ever do that again.
Really? Can I ask, are you single?
No, I'm not single.
Okay. Interesting. It's one of the things I'm most interested in at the moment because it's something I'm trying to fix in my own life.
Yeah.
And I've failed repeatedly. So, and I don't really believe in marriage.
I don't believe in marriage. I think it's illogical to make a commitment to somebody for something that you're saying, through thick and thin and forevermore, but you don't know how that person's going to change. I think, me and you, say we're going to be friends.
Mm-hmm. You don't need to sign a contract.
You don't need to do anything. Why?
And the law doesn't need to get
that
involved.
if I do something wrong, we're not friends anymore. Why does it need to be any more complicated than that? Just treat each other as you want to be treated. Mm-hmm. Be nice. Don't be a dick. It's not difficult.
What's success for you?
Success. I think a community of people has been really something that I've sort of, when you see our hooligans on social media sharing the product, I think that's been heartwarming and does indicate how well we've done. Mm-hmm. Clearly, numbers are some sort of crude measure of success. But yeah, I think being financially secure is a success as well. I think moving forward, we're just going to keep going, doing what we do. We've talked about exits at some point, but that will come. It's all a product of doing the right thing. So when we raised our money last year, we never went chasing after investors. They came to us. They chased after us, and it's all because we just produced a good product. Customers liked it, rebought the product, and so it all happened. So yeah, that's basically how I see it.
My last question.
Okay.
We're sat at this table now.
Yep.
Dinner party.
Yep.
You can invite 4 other people to the dinner party.
Yep.
And you get to decide what we all eat.
Right.
They can be dead or alive.
Okay, so I think I would definitely invite you for sure.
Okay.
Right? I think...
I'm already there, so you have 4 others. Yeah.
All right, 4 others. Okay, so I think I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Right.
So probably be podcast people.
Right.
So I really think Joe Rogan is awesome. I think that he's got a very wide breadth of interests. And I think he's generally a decent guy. So I think he'd be very interesting. Tim Ferriss, probably, same sort of reason. Derek Sivers, same sort of reason.
This one has to be...
Okay, this would be a pure entertainment one. Conor McGregor, just because I'm into UFC, just for bring a bit of entertainment to the table.
That would be a lively dinner party. What would they be eating?
Okay, so
Your favourite meal?
My favourite meal would probably be... I don't know, maybe it'd be a British Sunday dinner, maybe just because they've maybe not tried one before, something like that.
Is it one of your favourites?
I think it is, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for creating a product that so many people, including myself, rely on to function and to pursue becoming the best versions of ourselves. Because I really think that's what Huel is to me. I think it's an enabler, and it's enabled me to be myself without worrying too much about my health or time falling at the expense of that. So thank you, and thank you so much for your time today. You're a real inspiration to me, and what you've done through the product and through the business you've created, I think is just brilliant, and I really, really mean that. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. You're too kind. Thank you.
Thank you. If you're running a business, people have probably told you to use AI or get left behind. And I get that urgency. Still, AI doesn't fix a messy business. It exposes one, because AI can only work with the information it can see. So if you ask AI something about your business, about stock or sales or customers or about your team, that information needs to be connected to the AI to be useful. That's the idea behind NetSuite by Oracle, the sponsor of this episode. NetSuite is the AI-powered business management suite that securely connects your financials, your inventory, your commerce, your HR, and your CRM into a single source of truth. And with NetSuite Next, AI is built into that connected system. It can surface useful insights, help with routine work, and let you ask questions about your business in plain English. For the first time ever, you can try NetSuite Next for free if your business is generating 7 figures or more. Just go to netsuite.ai/Bartlett. That's netsuite.ai/Bartlett.